What is going on? This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and you're checking into Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we help you tap into your full potential. And this week it's a different type of week. So this one I am going solo, y'all. So I'm rocking along solo. I haven't spoken to y'all since I got back from my trip to Mongolia. As you can see behind me, I have the Mongolian flag back there. That was an amazing experience. Like just going to a different country, first time going to Asia. And if you haven't been to Mongolia, I'm telling you, you need to put that on your bucket list. Like the experience, the people, the food, the tradition, like their mixture of their tradition and with the modern times is just amazing. They're developing, the real estate market is picking up out there. I had the opportunity to go out there and speak. Um, Not only keynote their real estate convention 2 days in a row, but also I got to meet with their office and talked about coaching, talked about teams, talked about mindset. So just having that experience to be able to do those things was amazing. And it was very humbling too, just having that opportunity to feel like, damn, somebody is putting the effort into bringing me to their country, allowing me to speak. They felt like, hey, you have something to offer for our people, and we want to bring you in. So just having that was just like so amazing, and it made me think about a lot of things. But we'll get into that on another episode. But yeah, that was just dope. I was away from the fam, away from my daughters. That was kind of hard, but FaceTime and phone calls, text messages, that was dope. So I was able to do that with them. But yeah, I'm back to it, ready to go. New background for the podcast. If you are, listening in, go to YouTube, check it out. Got the Mongolian flag behind me. Got a canvas picture of Genghis Khan up there. And let me tell you, like, the Genghis Khan museum was dope. I put up a short video on the Instagram, on the yeah, short video on Instagram, but also on YouTube for you to be able to check it out and see the inside of it. Just to do short things, but it was amazing. So here we are. Let's get into it. Let's get into the podcast again. Solo episode, and this episode it is called Strong. And I wrote down some things. Like when I'm doing the pod, I usually just like to flow with my guests, and we just talk about everything. But I really wanted to be purposeful and intentional about this episode that I'm doing. So I took some notes. So we're at halftime, y'all. It's halftime. We're in the third quarter, so one half of the game is gone for all my sports fans. We had to make adjustments, right? What halftime adjustments do we need to make? So here is the real question I want to ask you all. So pen and pad, this is the episode where I want you all taking notes. Are you winning or are you just watching the game happen? And this episode is one of those episodes where if I had a mirror in front of me, like I'll be talking to myself as I'm talking to you all. Like I'm not here preaching or talking to y'all like that. I'm talking to myself as well. It's like, are you currently winning or are you just watching the game happen? Are you in the game or are you on the sideline? And I had to have a reflection about that for myself. Is I am not giving 100% in what I'm doing. When I, thought about halftime hustle, first half of the year gone, moving into the second half, like, have I really been giving my all? It's funny because I'm wearing, shout out to ET, the hip hop preacher. I'm wearing his hat, the 120 hat, and I feel bad for wearing it because hell, I haven't been giving 120. I haven't been going all in. So one of the big things that we have to do is we have to take a look in the mirror and we have to be honest with ourselves. Have we been given 120? Have we been going all in? And that's one of the questions I like to ask the people that I'm coaching is, okay, you aren't at your goal or you're not where you think you should be. The first question is, have you been giving it 120%? If the answer is yes, okay, Hey, we just got to keep thumping. We got to keep going. We need to make adjustments where we need to make adjustments at. But other than that, it's like, okay, have you gave 120%? No, you haven't. Okay, now let's dive deep into that. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to dive deep into that. So again, are you winning or are you just watching, watching the game happen? And then, you know, another question I want to ask you is, what was your mindset in January? For us in the business world, we do business planning in October because we know if we wait to January to go on, we're already months behind because the way the real estate market is like, 30, 45, sometimes 60 days for transactions to close that we have to get started on business planning in October. But we'll just say in January, what was your mindset in January? And then what was the goals you set for yourself? What was your mindset in January? What was the goals you set for yourself? And then how have they evolved? So this is the question you really want to ask yourself as we going into halftime. Again, we're making adjustments in halftime. So what was my goal in January? Right? What was my mindset in January? And then has those things changed? Because a lot of times goals change, things happen, life happen. We know that. So things may change. So what was that mindset? What was the goal? And is that still a goal? And for you all that has a coach, a lot of time our coaches ask us that because again, I coach people, but I also have a coach. And at times she asks me, is the goal still a goal? And there's no right and wrong answer. So that's the one thing I want you to realize. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just, is the goal still a goal? If the goal is the goal, okay, what we need to do to get you back on track. If that isn't the goal anymore, okay, now let's take a look at it and see what is the goal now. What are we doing to move forward? Right. So I want you to write that down. What was your mindset in January? What was the goal you set? And how has that evolved? Okay. And then now let's move on to, I got different talking points. So we're going to talk about point one. And it's like looking in the mirror. So we're going to talk about business and life because as the older you get, everything is not always about business. It's about personal life. It's about trying to counterbalance business and your personal life, right? It's counterbalancing. It's no such thing as balance. It's how do we counterbalance these things? So take a look in the mirror and I want you to don't lie to yourself here. Pull out the scoreboard. Again, I'm going to reference a lot of sports. Pull out the scoreboard. What does the scoreboard tell us? And if you don't have a scoreboard, so that tells us you need to track what you're doing. You're not tracking your numbers. That can be business related, that's going to be personal related. You have to track what you're doing. You have to track your numbers. So if we pull out the scoreboard and we look at it, where do we rate ourselves in our personal life and business? So the first part is how would you rate yourself on revenue and business growth on the business side? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate yourself on revenue and business growth? Right. The second part is how would you rate yourself on health and wellness? Now, when we say health and wellness, I want you to remember we're talking about physical health and mental health. A lot of times when people talk about health, they just go straight to the body. They go straight to the body. No, in the day we're in, the world we're in, we need to know what's going on mentally too. So rate yourself on a scale of 10, 1 to 10 of health, mental, and physical. The third one is personal development. If you're not watering, the flower is dying. If you're not watering your mind, if you're not having personal developments, you're dying. And it's just honest to God truth. And I saw something somewhere before that said that they have elderly people do crossword puzzles to try to fight dementia. And again, you can guys can fact check that, but that's because they're making them work mentally. They're working their mind. So what are you doing for your personal growth? Personal growth is podcasts like this, it's other podcasts, it's reading books. Like, what are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How are you rating yourself on your personal development? Next, relationships. Now, relationships, we're going to talk about that in two directions, and we like to say key relationships. So that is business relationships, and then that's personal relationships. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you in these categories with your business relationship and your personal relationships? A lot of times it is hard for us to juggle on our business and personal. I know a lot of people that they're all in, their business partners, their clients, they're the people that's in business with them, that their key relationships, their personal relationships start to fall. You see that with people with their personal relationships, they're all in on that their business relationships start to fall. So we need to grade ourselves on where are we at in each of those categories, and then we after we grade ourselves, now it's like what's working, what's not working. A guest I had on here before, Amanda Dahl. Shout out to Amanda. She always say, "Okay, grade yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, and then what do you need to do to get from whatever number you are at to a 10?" So that's the thing we want to do here. So we're grading ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's just say I'm a 6 on health. Okay, what is working so far that got me to a 6 and I'm not at a 1? What's not working that's stopping me from going from a 6 to a 10? Okay, what are the things that I need to do to get from the 6 to the 10? All right. So then after we do that, now we want to, wins are worth celebrating. Wins are worth celebrating. I don't care how small you think the win is, how small the W is, you got to celebrate that. Right? It's like those mile markers, and for you people that run races, I've done a marathon before. We celebrate when we hit mile 1, mile 2, mile 3, half marathon, 13.1, 20 miles, then we get to the 26.2. You celebrate those wins. It doesn't matter how small, because that gives you that momentum to keep going, to know you're doing what you're supposed to do. And then our L's are lessons. Our losses are feedback for us of what is working and what is not working. And I always like to frame it with Thomas Edison. And don't quote me on this, I may be wrong, but I think it was he failed what 999 times or something like that again. But you get what I'm saying. He failed so much until he got it right. What if he would have let that L dictate that what he was doing? We would not have electricity right now. We'd probably be, sitting around a campfire and things like that, but we wouldn't have electricity. Another example I like is Michael Jordan. He had a quote that said he failed so much that's why he won. And for all my sports fans, like I'm a Chicago kid, grew up in that era. The Detroit Pistons, they used to whoop his ass. I mean, the Detroit Bad Boys used to whoop his ass. What if he would have took that and that was it? No, he got feedback from the L. It was lessons in that, and he ended up saying, "Okay, I need to get stronger. I need to be more open minded to the systems that Phil Jackson is implementing. I need to trust my teammates a little bit more." So he took those as lessons. It was feedback from him. He moved forward. So again, we need to celebrate our W's, no matter how small. And then when we have a failure, a quote unquote failure, or we have a loss, we have to have a lesson in that. What is the feedback from that? So here's my challenge to you all. What's one thing you said you would do in January that you haven't even touched yet? What is one thing you said you would do in January that you haven't even touched yet? Now, when you get that one thing, now I want you to say, is it still important? Is that still a part of the goal? Is that still something you want to accomplish? If it is, okay, what do we need to do moving forward to get that going? All right. If that's not the goal anymore, okay, ball it up, throw it away, and don't even think about it. Move on. Because the thing is, we're not going to dwell over shit that has already happened or hasn't happened, because we can't change what the past. I can't change what happened 14 minutes ago, but I can just focus on what we're going to do moving forward. And that's the big thing, right? So the next point, I want to talk about burnout, boundaries, and the real grind. That hustle culture is like that. That is a crazy thing right now, where hustle, hustle, hustle. I got to work 24/7. We got to set boundaries. They got to be aware of burnout. We have to acknowledge fatigue, you all. We have to, especially this day and age with so much going on in the world, so much going on with our family, so much going on in business. Like we have to acknowledge fatigue. And this is where most people slow down, but this is where we turn it up, right? We're going to turn it up. And then you have to check and do an audit. Is your system serving you or are they draining you? So again, are your systems serving you or are they draining you? Now we can talk about that business and personal life. Are the things you're doing exciting you or are they draining you? A big question you have to ask yourself when you do an audit of your crew or the people you're around, are the people you're around serving you or are they draining you? If you get a person that call your phone and as soon as you see their name pop up, you're like, oh shit, I'm not answering this. Or oh, I know this is going to be a bunch of BS. It's going to be a lot of crap going on. Like you have to be aware of that. And I read this book, and I think I mentioned it before on the pod. Of It's called the Energy Bus, and in there they reference it as the energy vampires. Are these people that's draining you? If there's people in your life that's draining you, I'm not saying completely cut them off, but I'm saying you got to put up some boundaries. You got to have a roadblock there. You can't keep on letting them come drain you. You are not an electric car station. You are not there for people to come take your energy, jump their bullshit on you, and then now they go about their day, and you're stuck in there and you're messed up. All right, that's a big thing that you can do. And for my business people, are you doing $10 hour tasks as $1,000 hour entrepreneur? Say that again. Are you doing a $10 an hour task as a $1,000 an hour entrepreneur? So let's break that down. Are you doing things that's not beneficial to you, that's not fulfilling, that is not giving you the results you need because you don't want to do the things that's quote unquote hard? Are you doing the $10 an hour stuff when you know you're worth $1,000 an hour? You got to be real. You got to take a look in the mirror. And again, this is a conversation that I'm having with y'all, and I'm talking to myself too, because I am not no better than anyone. I'm not that. It's just, you know, I'm knowing how to maneuver through things. I'm figuring out how to maneuver through things. The same things I talk to you all about, I talk to myself about. So again, you business check-in. Are you doing $10 an hour tasks, but as $1,000 an hour entrepreneur? And for the people in the real estate world, we know what that is. We know what that is. $1,000 an hour entrepreneur, that's lead generation. It doesn't matter how you lead generate. I'm not here to tell you how you should lead generate, but that is what you should be doing. Yet now, if you're doing postcards and making sure your website look good, updating your logo, updating your business cards, that's $10 an hour task that you're doing, but you're $1,000 an hour entrepreneur. All right. And then I kind of touched on it, and we'll try to go over to the life check-in. Are your relationships aligned with your values and goals? This one is one of the big one, y'all. And from a lot of people that I've coached, or a lot of the classes that I had the honor of traveling around and teaching, a lot of the times when we talk about this subject, people talk about how it's the people that they love. I remember I've had a few classes where, the young ladies in the class say, hey, what if it's the person that you live with? What is the person that you stay in the bed with? And I'm like, listen, I am not a I am not a therapist. I am not a relationship guru. I'm not none of that. But what I can say is that at some point you have to align yourself with people that is promoting or on the same wavelength of your values and goals. And then that quote, I'm an old head. People tell me stop saying that, but I've been around. It's that you are the sum of the five people you hang around, right? Who are the people you hang around? And I love the quote. They're like, "Show me your friends, I'll show you your future," and that is key. At the end of the day, you was born by yourself. You're gonna die by yourself. At the end of the day, you know what's important to you. You know what your goals are. You know what it is you need to do to accomplish those things. You just got to do it. So again, burnout is real. How are you taking care of yourself? I'm very big on how are we taking care of ourselves? What are we doing for ourselves? First thing we do in the morning, and I'm guilty of this, I'm not gonna lie, is grab our phone, one eye still closed, grab our phone, we're scrolling social media. Social media, there's a national disaster going on, there's civil unrest, we're on the brink of a world war. Somebody got a divorce, somebody passed away, somebody lost their job. All of this negative bullshit that we are absorbing first thing in the morning, and we wonder why our day is thrown off. We wonder why the stuff that we're putting in, and we don't pay attention to it. Like our subconscious mind doesn't know what's real or what's fake. So if we're constantly putting that negativity in, by the time we're ready to hit the world, by the time we're ready to do what we got to do, we're already feeling like shit because we let this negative stuff in. So how are we controlling our morning? So again, we can have our boundaries and we can fight that burnout, that burnout. Is that journaling? Is that praying to whoever you believe in? Is that meditating? Is that working out? Listening to a motivational speaker, listen to a podcast. We have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so we don't burn out. All right. Now let's transition over and we're going to talk about reset your standards. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems and standards. Again, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems and standards. It's time to clean house. We got to reset. We got to reset our standards. Because here's the thing, if your goal is up here, but your standards don't align with that, your goals are just bullshit. Perfect example, if my goal is to lose 15 pounds and get drop 5% body fat, but my standards is eating McDonald's, drinking pop, not working out, not drinking water, eating candy. I'm going to fall to the level of my standards. I'm not going up to my goals. For my people that's dating, hey, let's keep it real. If your goal is to get married, your goal is to have, a loving relationship, but your standards don't match that, you can't get mad at the person that did you wrong because you run the line with your standards and now that's where your goals are. So let's talk about it in business terms. You got to recommit to your calendar, your non-negotiables, your morning routine. You got to recommit to what's most important. So like we talked about at the beginning of, is my goal still important? If this goal is still important, okay, what are my non-negotiables to hit this goal? That is your standards. Your standards are the groundwork, the non negotiables that you need to accomplish to hit your goals on a daily basis. So, again, if my goal is to lose 10 to 15 pounds and drop 5 to 10% body fat, my standards has to be drink a gallon of water a day, at least get 10,000 steps in, weight training, making sure I'm eating enough protein. Is 1 gram of protein for the desired body weight. That is my standards. So for me to hit that goal that I have to make sure that I'm on my standards on a daily basis. Right? Those are my non-negotiables. And then commit to our calendar. Let's take this to the business world and also our personal life. Are you committed to your calendar? If in your calendar it says to spend time with your family, that is what you're doing. Now, if your calendar says you need to be lead generating or you need to be working on your business, that is what you're doing. The problem that we have, and I say we because again, I'm not talking to y'all, this is a conversation with us, is that when it's time to work, work, when it's time to play, play, but yet we always cross that up. Perfect example is when you're on vacation and you're taking calls or you're doing work. That's because, for one, and okay, let me refrain this because I know some of y'all will be like, "No, Jesse, that's bullshit." Stuff do come up when I'm on vacation. I got to do it. I get that. Yet this is for the people that when it's time to work, they don't work. And then when it's time to play, they're dealing with work because they didn't do work when they were supposed to. So it's interfering with their play, right? Or the people when they're at work and people want to hang out and do stuff and they're feeling some type of way, it's because you didn't set time aside to play and hang out. That now they're feeling some type of way because you can't do it. So again, when it's time to work, work. When it's time to play, play. Be committed to your schedule. Don't bullshit around. Let your schedule tell you what to do. And then we got to drop the fluff. We got to drop the BS and we got to focus on execution. We have to focus on execution. ET said it again. I'm wearing the ET hat. Again, shout out to Eric Thomas. Fall in love with the process, not the goal. When we fall in love with the process, it doesn't matter what happened. We always have that foundation to fall back on. When we focus on that process, when we get to the goal, we appreciate it a lot more because we know all the bullshit we had to get through to get to the goal. But I want to go back to the first thing I said, that when we fall in love with the process and we know the process, we can bounce back. Something go wrong, something happens, something loses. Guess what? We already know the process. We fall in love with it. We gonna bounce back and we gonna keep it moving. So again, drop the fluff. Everything is an excuse. Let's just be real. Everything is an excuse. Everything is an excuse. So now it's actions over excuses and it's consistency over perfection. Action over excuses, consistency over perfection. Shit don't have to be perfect. Just do it. Just do it on a daily basis and you're going to get to where you want to get to. And then I know for me, I'll share a little story and I'll talk about it. For every avenue of my life, I had to change my standards. I had to change my standards on my health. You know, for you all that's regular listeners, in February I had a health situation, and then just recently before I went to Mongolia a few weeks, I had a health situation where I ended up in the hospital. My standards has to align with my goals. Business wise, I have a certain goal with the pod. I have a certain goal with my coaching company. If my standards are not aligned with the goals, I am just doing shit just to do it. I know we had Amy Wong here, and she said something that I love. She said, "I didn't wake up to be mediocre," and I think about that a lot. Like, okay, I have to make sure my standards are aligned with my goals. I have to. I have to. So again, your standards have to be in line with your goals, and that's what we focus on. Now let's move on. Let's talk about, well, before I move on, I want to say this because I know I've been talking a lot about, the first half goals and this and that. And if you haven't read the book, get the book. It's The Gap in the Game. We focus too much on the gap that we don't give ourselves enough credit for the gain. So I want you to do this. We talked about the wins and we talked about celebrating it. I want you to celebrate how far you have come since January to now. A big part of that is, damn it, you still alive and you're listening to the pod. You're able to wake up every morning and have another opportunity to get better. You have to give yourself grace and mercy for that because we know that a lot of people, there's a lot of people that's not here right now. So we got to give ourselves grace for that. And then just give yourself grace on how far you've come. And then now we move on to focus on to, the power of the next 6 months. Everything can change in 6 months, y'all. Like for real. But here's the thing for that. Everything can change in 6 months, but you have to stop making excuses. This was one of those things where we talked about goal and standards. This is one of the things for me, from my stance, is, bro, stop making excuses. If you did something, If you didn't do something you were supposed to do, fuck it. It's over. I didn't do it. No excuse. But moving forward, I am making a commitment to do what I'm supposed to do. Everything is an excuse right now. And I want to talk about in the business aspects of it is, oh, the market's crazy, interest rates, mortgage rates, nobody's selling. Yes, and you cannot personally control those things, so it's an excuse. And again, this is me talking. Listen, I'm talking to myself. I'm talking to y'all. I'm talking to myself. It is an excuse. What can I control? How many people I talk to on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? How many people can I provide value to? If I am not doing those things, everything else is an excuse. Those are the only things that I can focus on. So I want to ask you this. What are 2 to 3 things that will move the needle the most between now and December? So write this down as you're taking notes or you write stuff down. What are 1 or 2 things that you can do to move the needle between now and December? And one thing I'll share with you all that I've shared with people I coach, and I talk about it with my homies, is so much can change in a year, but so much can change in 6 months. You can change the trajectory of your business, of your life, if you lock in for this next 6 months. And I highlight the name of the episode, the name of the pod, tapping into your full potential. Tap into your full potential. Lock in for the next 6 months, and I promise you, shit will be where you want it to be, or it will be a lot better than it is. All right. And then, on a personal level, what version of you do you need to become to finish strong? Who do you need to become? And remember, we said this before on multiple podcasts that you are already the person you want to become. You just have to tap into it. So again, it goes back into that tapping into your full potential. What version of you needs to show up for you to finish strong? Is it that version of you that you're scared, is outside of your comfort zone? You don't know what to do. You're a little nervous. If that's the case, oh well, nothing grows in the comfort zone. We got to get uncomfortable. So, what version of you need to show up? For me, I know the version for me that needs to show up is somebody that's more logical than emotional, right? Someone who's more patient than agitated, right? I've been working on these things, and I know that's the version I need to become to be able to move the needle for me. So, again, what version of you needs to show up to finish the year strong, personal and business wise? So here's what I want you to do. So as you're taking notes, you write this down. What does December look like? And what are you doing today to make sure you become that version? What does December you look like? And what are you doing today to make sure you become that version? Think about it. If we're in December right now, we having a conversation in December because I'm going to follow up with an episode in December as we recap the whole year. What do you look like in that recap, and what did you do now to be able to become that person, right? What did you do to become that person that you are in December? So let's draw a line in the sand. Like, let's first half, cool, it is what it is. But the second half, that's where legends are made. Second half is where legends are made. So what we gonna do? Like, are we gonna lock in? Are we gonna, say fuck the outside world, fuck the noise? I am going to focus on what I can control, and that's what I'm going to lock in on. I am already the version of me that I want to be, so I am going to lock into that, and I am going to hold on to that, and I'm going to do that. We got to make a decision. We got to make a choice. We got to lock in. So here's what I want y'all to do. So, what are you committed to over the next 90 days? What are you committed to over the next 90 days? Write that down. One thing I realized by coaching and teaching is that we always write down our goals. We always write down what we're committed to, and we keep that shit to ourselves. So now, who's going to hold you accountable to that? Write down 2 to 3 names of people that is going to hold you accountable to what you're committed to over the next 90 days. And here's what something else I want to add to that. Once you write down what you're committed to over the next 90 days, so you have your goal, what is your standards that you have to commit to hit that goal? So write down our goal for the next 90 days. Write down our standards that we have to, our non-negotiables that we have to hit that goal in the next 90 days. And then who are the 2 to 3 people that you're going to share that with to hold you accountable, not only to your goals, but to hold you accountable to your standards. That is the big part. Having people that's going to hold you accountable to your standards. And I'll tell you this, I invite you to this. Share those commitments with me. My email is in the description. It's going to be in the description for the pod. For you all who already know me and you have my email, share with me what your next 90 days look like. Share with me what your goals are. Share with me what your standards are. And I'll help hold you accountable to that. I'll help you keep to that. Because at the end of the day, the world, it's going to sound cliche, but I've been playing that Nas song and Lauryn Hill. I actually got it tattooed on my chest, Scarface. The world is yours. And let's see, the world is mine. They said if I ruled the world, yeah. But then Nas also has another song said, whose world is this? The world is mine. It's mine. It's mine. Yeah, the world is yours. Whatever you want to accomplish, you can do. Hell, look at me. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would have had the opportunity to go to Mongolia and teach and train people, I would have laughed at you. But anything is possible. We just have to show up. We have to lock in. Don't give up. Keep going. That is my big thing. Keep fucking going. Keep going. Somebody don't want to work with you, fine. Keep going. Something bad happened to you, fine. Keep going. People do want to work with you, fine. Keep going. Something great happened to you, fine. Keep going. We just got to keep fucking going, ladies and gentlemen. We got to go. We can't play around. Let's lock in the last 6 months. And then when we review the full year in December and January, and we be like, damn, just by locking in, I am where I wanted to be. I'm past where I wanted to be, or I'm very close to where I want to be. It feels good. It feels good. So again, I gave you all some homework. I gave you all some tasks to do. Commit. What is your commitment for the next 90 days? What is your standards to hit that commitment? If you don't have an accountability partner, reach out to me. I got you. And again, let's just lock in and let's get it. Okay. So again, thanks for rocking with me for the first ever solo episode of Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast. I love you all. We're going to make it through together. Shit is going on, but we're going to keep rocking. We're going to keep rolling. And I'm looking forward to hollering at y'all next week. Have a great day. Peace.